Jeffrey goes through his entire life following the script that's been laid out for him. He studies so hard, neglecting his relationships. He gets good grades and then goes to a good university and then gets a good degree and then gets a good job. He's a good boy. He wakes up in time and spends an hour in traffic on the way to his job. There he mindlessly works for someone else whilst he daydreams of a better life. It takes him an hour to go back home and now he only has the energy to just watch TV and eat junk food. It's nighttime now and he should go to sleep, but he just wants to stay up and get a little bit more enjoyment of the day, but he knows that this is going to cause him to be sleep deprived tomorrow. And of course he makes the wrong decision. When he does finally get into bed, he calculates that he's only going to get 5.5 hours of sleep. And then he repeats this 5 to 6 days a week for the rest of his life. Adonis lives a weird life, an unscripted life. He doesn't follow the same script as everyone else. Everyone is on their way to work and they see Adonis enjoying himself with his son at the park at this time? Isn't he gonna be late for work? Adonis followed the principles from the book Unscripted by MJ DeMarco. This isn't scientific at all and people are gonna crucify me for this. I found that your appetite correlates with your position in hierarchy. If you found right now that, oh, you know, I've got a really fast metabolism, it's really hard for me to eat that much, bro. Imagine being in a tribe and we've just hunted down a boar. What man would eat the most of the boar? Well, the alpha male. What man would eat the second most of the servings? Well, the guy just below the alpha male. What man would probably eat the least amount of the boar that we've just hunted? Well, probably the guy at the lowest, right? How much you can eat and how much you do eat. Honestly, it seems to be perfectly correlated with your position in the social hierarchy. Jeffrey is a weak, modern man. That means that he's been raised in a feminine household. Jeffrey's the kind of guy to say that he's a feminist just so he can try and sleep with the feminist in his class. If Jeffrey sees you displaying traits of masculinity, he gets offended. He sees you competing with your boys, being so motivated to overtake each other on the journey of success. And Jeffrey tells the teacher about you. He goes onto your YouTube channel and leaves a dislike and then he reports your account for promoting terrorism. Adonis and his brothers compete. They hunt together but they each want that killing blow. They climb together but all of them want to reach the summit first. This competition is out of love and it pushes them to conquer and succeed way more than if they were. This is the truth. The data shows us that the single greatest thing that you can do is to build your physique. The single greatest thing you can do is not be fat, be lean and build some extra muscle. That is the single greatest thing that you can do to become more attractive and to get more matches on Tinder, more likes on Instagram and more girls who are actually eye-fucking you when you're out in public. And you and I both know that your physique is totally in your control. So sorted. I fucking hate the black pillars. Have you ever seen them online? This group called like Black Pill. It's like this new like movement of guys who say like it's only genetics that matters. And they're saying to young men, yep, give up. If you're 6'4", you'll never get girls. If you're brown, you'll never get girls. If you're black, you'll never get girls. If you don't have this eyelid shape, you'll never get girls. They said this to me a year ago and they were saying that like my genetics were so bad that I'd never be able to get girls. Then I got girls. I got more attractive. And now they're like, oh well, your genetics, they're saying this to me. First they said my genetics were shit. Now they're saying my genetics are really, they've always been really good. They must be. So it wasn't never genetics, was it? It's very important that you have the total belief that you can make yourself more attractive and that eventually you can go and get more girls from them. It's so utterly important that you believe this. If there's one thing that attracts women, what do you think it is? It's not looks, confidence, game, money, clout. It's not any of those things that are always discussed online. There is one thing, it's pre-selection. Pre-selection is when a woman sees that other women are into you. Women are not just attracted to who they're attracted to in a vacuum by itself. They're attracted to the guy that other women are attracted to, but also, extremely importantly, they are attracted to the guy that other men respect. Some guys don't realize this, but when, you hear men like me on YouTube and stuff talk about like, yeah, going to the gym is so good for young men. We're not talking about cardio. We're not talking about going to the gym to do half an hour on the treadmill. We're not talking about some like class that you sign up to and you do some like boot camp, little fucking like shoulder press with like 5 kg. You set the kettlebell on the floor and you jump over the kettlebell and do like a quick push. We're not talking about that shit. We're talking about either weightlifting or calisthenics, which is kind of like bodyweight exercises, but it's still not like, cardio or anything. It's about resistance training that builds muscle. It's muscle and a lower body fat percentage that is irresistible towards women. It's fucking cringe. If you're over 16 and you use Snapchat, I want you to know right now that Hamza thinks you're a little bitch. I want you to literally hear those words and feel a little bit shit. Just think Hamza thinks you're a fucking weirdo. It's for like little fucking teenagers. And if you have a streak with someone, fucking hell. If you are over 18 and you have Snapchat, you are I'm disappointed in you. A man's physique is the single greatest thing that he has to attract more women. Not money, not confidence, not game, not genetics. It is literally just your body fat percentage and your muscle mass. Now you don't need to be like an absolute big bodybuilder. Girls really aren't attracted to someone like massive guy. But the type of physique that they're attracted to is what I call the aesthetic physique. It's the guy who's got a very good amount of muscle mass, but he's lean and he's trained in a particular way where he's built like his upper body looks like this, where his shoulders go out and his waist goes inward. So he's lean and he's built, for example, like the lateral delts. He's built like a nice like neck and everything. This may be some of the weirdest, most specific, like weirdest fucking advice you've ever heard before. A lot of the times you can't trust your own brain. A lot of the times your brain will push you, like your entire body will crave things that aren't good for you. You know this. You will get cravings for things that aren't good for you. Porn, video games, junk food, drugs. You'll get cravings for them. You will have every reason to believe that you want those things. You don't. You rationally know, you objectively know that these things are bad for you. That isn't your brain talking. It's the message that's been implanted by these fucking nerds who want to make you feel like you're gonna miss out. That's literally what they've implanted into your brain. I've got a story to tell. So in my first year of university, I lived with a guy. There was a weird situation. The other group of randomers get into my friend's Uber that they've called, and the Uber takes off. And so of course, like, you know, they're calling the guy and saying, wait, you've picked up the wrong people and everything. And then the driver realizes, so then he kind of like drops off the random group and then he comes back to my group of friends. I think it's very important for you to know my father is a taxi driver. So of course I'm gonna have like extra sort of emotional attachment to this. This friend that I had, Jeffrey, was really pissed off, like really pissed off about the situation. And when they got into the car, he almost like subtly was like swearing at the taxi driver and, you know, being rude towards it. Eventually the Uber driver pulls over and says like he doesn't want to do the ride anymore. You guys get out and you can call another guy. And that pisses off my Jeffrey friend even more, that when he gets out of the car, he leans back in and spits on the Uber driver's face. I literally felt like almost like a gut punch inside of me, because I'm just visualizing like that happening to my dad. I feel ashamed when I look back at this now to think that, you know what, like, bro, I stayed friends with him for a long time. I've always said, bro, when you get onto self-improvement, you'll start to see a divide between yourself and the people that you were originally friends with. Try your absolute best. See it as your responsibility to bring your friends up with you. This is like a beautiful movement, a beautiful like journey that we're all on here. And to get a friend who, you know, started off with like the video games and drugs and, you know, all the shit that you used to do, to get them to join you on this journey is so amazing. I highly recommend doing that. Think and visualize this right now. Imagine you're walking down the streets and just the normal thing is happening where you walk past some cute women and they don't really look at you. It's always in your mind, you know, you'd love to fuck, you'd love to get more girls, but you just always think, okay, how can you do it? It just feels so awkward to speak to them, to approach them. It doesn't feel like they're very receptive. Maybe you've got to go home and go onto Tinder and Instagram instead. But now imagine you walk through the streets and a woman's walking towards you and she's actually looking at you. She's holding your eye contact and she gives you like a friendly, happy smile. Think about how much easier and just better it would be to think about going to like go speak to her and just see what happens. Eye contact is the way to create instant attraction with women that you meet in your normal day-to-day life. In your normal day-to-day life, by the women that you walk past, there's opportunities there that aren't being tapped into. You could eventually go and have like an amazing, beautiful time with some random woman that you just happen to walk past, and maybe, just maybe, you missed that opportunity because you were like too shy and intimidated, or maybe even worse, you were just being a Jeffrey and just like, you know, looking into your phone, pretending like you were busy on your phone, pretending to like type away to someone. Imagine just like being sat there just fucking watching like Hamza videos on the train when like your dream woman's next to you smiling at you, and since you're not looking back, you're just looking at fucking Hamza videos. She then goes and smiles at someone else and that guy smiles back at her and they end up talking and he gets her number. That's gonna hurt, bro. What I've realized in the last few months, like the way to meet a woman day to day, it's not even about approaching. Like you've probably seen videos about, you know, how to approach women and stuff, and that can be nice and it can work, but literally the best way to approach, the best kind of woman to approach is the one who's literally just held your eye contact and smiled at you. Think about how different it is and how like weird you feel when there's a woman who's not even looked at you and you're like running after her and stuff, trying to like, oh, excuse me, you know, just trying to use some pickup line, and you know, she's not even looked at you at all, she's not paid any attention to you, she's just a random person that you're just thinking, oh well, you know, I may as well try, compared to a woman who's literally paying attention to you and smiling as she walks past you. That is how attraction is instantly created. You've probably seen those documentaries by now where like Instagram is like literally made to be addictive. Facebook, like, you know, they split test like every single pixel to see what will make you stay on the platform for longer, because when you stay on these platforms for longer, you look at more ads, and if you look at more advertisements, then the platform makes more money. So why are you lazy? Because everyone wants your attention and you keep giving it out for free. Worse than giving it out for free, you keep giving it out and profiting the people that you're giving it out to. You need to start investing your attention into yourself. The only time that I was able to make progress in my life, I went on what's called a dopamine detox. So I went on a dopamine detox, and that pretty much just means you drastically increase all of the good habits at once, and you drastically decrease all of the bad habits at once. You don't do some gradual shit. You don't do like pussy stuff of like, oh, well, I can just play 1 hour of video games. No, you say to yourself, okay, I'm never playing video games again. I'm never doing the bad habits again. I'm always gonna do the good habits. I'm gonna fill my entire day with the good habits. I've recommended the same book about 15 times so far. If you haven't gotten it yet, you need to get this book and read it. It will literally transform your life. It's called The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida. So in this book that I mentioned, The Way of the Superior Man, something he says literally just blows my mind. In the chapter of this book, the author mentions that the way that you breathe will be noticed, especially by women around you. He says that when a woman challenges you and she tests you, she's paying attention to like minute details, and she is not consciously aware that she's really doing this. It's just some kind of like subconscious process. And so the example that he gives is that she will challenge you and notice your shortness of breath as a sign of weakness. The first ever full-time job I worked was a customer service. I worked in the complaints department in like a car finance company. Straight after that, I got the part-time job. It was for like a receptionist position. I left that job like 4 days later. The job was like not good for me, and I really just made that decision fast. And then I got a 0-hour contract working in a homeless accommodation shelter, and I was working like 3 nights per week. So I took that second risk as well. I left my first full-time job for that part-time job. Then I also left that part-time job for the 0-hour contract. I took risks. I am here today because I took those risks. I would not be here if I stayed in that full-time job. Safety, security, and comfort are not good things for men. We think we want them, we don't. You need to build yourself up as a man and then have these moments where you can make important decisions. And this comes from those beautiful things like making a business, pursuing a good career. Maybe it's even like speaking to that girl and seeing where things go. Taking risks and just seeing how it goes, and obviously, you know, putting in the work for it. That's your life's experience. Why would you want to miss out on that? You have to understand the reason why you're lazy is because the things around us make it so easy to be like that. Think about this. Every bit of technology has been optimized to keep you hooked. When you stay on these platforms for longer, you look at more ads, and if you look at more advertisements, then the platform makes more money. You grow incredibly when you take risks. So ask yourself right now, okay, what could you take a risk in? Because right now, maybe you don't have like a certain clear goal, a certain business that you can take a risk on, careers or something. So it's like, okay, well, you know, this sounds really motivational, Hamza, but like, what the fuck am I supposed to take a risk on? And that right there shows us the comfortable life that you're living. Let that sink in. You're literally living such a comfortable life that the option to take risks isn't even there. That's something that you should feel like a little bit ashamed of.